Today, the world pauses to honor the passing of four Americans whose lives, in quiet and profound ways, shaped the rhythm of their times. One mastered the precision of a baseball pitch, leaving a legacy of discipline and triumph etched on the diamond. Another, a youthful beacon of courage, dared to stand when the currents of injustice demanded silence, her quiet defiance rippling through history. A third turned the ordinary patterns of office life into mirrors of shared human experience, translating frustration into laughter and insight into connection. And the last, through relentless dedication to motion and balance, redefined excellence in athletic pursuit. Their stories converge in a tapestry of courage, creativity, and discipline, a reminder of the subtle power of lives fully lived. Tragic news confirmed: David John Giusti Jr., a name etched in the heart of baseball history, passed away on January 11, 2026, at the age of 86. The quiet streets of Pittsburgh and Houston alike remember a man whose dedication to the game went far beyond the scoreboard. A pitcher, yes, but also a craftsman, a player who treated each game as a canvas, each pitch as a careful stroke. Born on November 27, 1939, in the heart of Brooklyn, New York, Giusti grew up in an era when baseball was more than a pastime, it was a calling. The rhythms of sandlots and local diamonds shaped him early, instilling in him the values of patience, precision, and relentless practice. Those hours spent perfecting the curveball, studying batters' eyes, and learning the silent language of the mound laid the foundation for a career that would span 15 seasons in Major League Baseball. Giusti made his MLB debut in 1962 with the Houston Colt.45s. For many, it was a single statistic line in a box score, but for those who knew him, it marked the beginning of a life defined by discipline and quiet determination. His right-handed pitch was never flashy, yet it was deadly precise. As teammate Willie Stargell once said in an interview, David didn't just throw the ball, he commanded respect every time he stepped on the mound. You knew he had thought 5 moves ahead, even before the batter did. Through the 1960s and 1970s, Giusti became a cornerstone for multiple teams: the Houston Colt.45s, Pittsburgh Pirates, St. Louis Cardinals, Oakland Athletics, and the Chicago Cubs. But it was with the Pirates that his name became inseparable from triumph. Between 1970 and 1975, the team claimed 5 National League Eastern Division titles in 6 years, a testament to cohesion, talent, and Giusti's steady hand in the bullpen. The pinnacle came in 1971, when the Pirates captured the World Series. Fans recall his presence not only on the mound but in the dugout, his calm confidence and anchor during tense innings. Outside the field, Giusti's life was quietly remarkable. He mentored younger players, guiding them with a blend of technical knowledge and life wisdom. He often reminded rookies, "The game will test you, but it also teaches you. Learn from both." Friends and colleagues recall his soft humor, a laugh that could ease even the tensest clubhouse. Behind the competitive exterior was a man who understood that character mattered as much as talent. Challenges were never absent from his journey. Injuries tested his resolve, trades uprooted him from familiar surroundings, and the pressures of professional sports weighed heavily. Yet Giusti's response was always measured: methodical recovery, endless practice, and an unwavering commitment to the craft. His consistency became his signature. In a sport defined by unpredictability, he offered certainty, an example of how dedication could balance talent, shaping not only his career but the standards of the teams he served. When asked about his philosophy, Giusti once told reporters, "It's not about the applause or the headlines. It's about how you play the game and how you lift those around you." That quiet wisdom echoes today, as young athletes and fans alike reflect on the legacy of someone who valued effort, respect, and resilience above fleeting fame. Social media tributes flooded in after the announcement of his passing, many recalling his sportsmanship. "A true gentleman of the game," wrote one fan. "David Giusti taught us how to play and how to live," noted another. His final years were spent far from the glare of stadium lights but close to family and friends. He cherished time in his hometown, attending local games and offering guidance to the next generation of players. For Giusti, the sport was never just about records, it was about connection, mentorship, and the enduring joy of the game. As history records his achievements, it is the quiet, often overlooked aspects of his life that resonate most profoundly: the patience in perfecting a pitch, the guidance extended without fanfare, the steady presence in moments of high tension. His story reminds the world that greatness is not measured solely by victories or statistics but by the consistency of effort and the integrity of character. David Giusti's legacy is felt in dugouts and ballparks across the nation, in the memories of teammates, and in the dreams of aspiring pitchers who study his career for lessons in precision and perseverance. His impact extends beyond sports, it is a model of commitment, humility, and grace under pressure. As fans, players, and friends say their farewells, it is this quiet strength that endures, a life devoted to mastery, mentorship, and the timeless rhythm of the game. In remembering David John Giusti Jr., we honor a craftsman of the pitch, a pillar of character, and a man whose influence will ripple through baseball for generations to come. The diamond feels a little emptier now, yet his spirit lingers in every precise curveball, every lesson imparted, and every young player striving to emulate the quiet excellence he embodied. Today, we say goodbye, but the game remembers. Tragic news confirmed: Claudette Colvin, a quiet yet powerful figure in the story of American civil rights, passed away on January 13, 2026. The streets of Montgomery, Alabama, once filled with the echoes of her bravery, now remember a young girl whose courage shaped history long before the world recognized her name. At 15, she sat firmly in her seat on a segregated bus, refusing to give it up, not for attention, not for applause, but because she knew, even then, that justice demanded it. That moment, small in time but immense in consequence, set in motion a series of events that would reshape a nation. Born on September 5, 1939, Claudette Colvin grew up in a world divided by law and custom, yet defined by her own sense of right and wrong. Her family instilled in her the importance of dignity, responsibility, and standing firm even when the stakes were high. In March 1955, as the city's buses carried children, workers, and families through daily life, Colvin's refusal to move became a spark of resistance. Arrested that day, she faced the indignities and fears of a society unwilling to accept equality. Yet even in the shadows of youth and injustice, her resolve did not falter. Her arrest was the first step toward a historic legal challenge. Claudette became one of the plaintiffs in Browder v. Gayle, the case that ultimately led the Supreme Court to declare bus segregation in Alabama unconstitutional. It was a quiet, legal triumph that often goes overlooked in the stories most widely told. As historian Angela Freeman once wrote, Claudette Colvin's courage reminds us that history is rarely made in the spotlight. Sometimes it begins in silence, in small acts that demand enormous bravery. The weight of that early experience lingered throughout her life. Colvin worked as a nurse aide, dedicating herself to care and service while carrying the memories of her teenage defiance. She lived largely outside public attention, but the moral clarity of that moment on the bus never left her. Friends and colleagues describe her as steadfast and humble, someone who never sought recognition yet understood the significance of her actions. Social media tributes after her passing reflected this quiet admiration. "She was a pioneer whose courage changed the course of history," wrote one user. Another noted, "Her story reminds us that even the youngest among us can shape justice." Colvin's life illustrates the cost of early bravery. The emotional and social pressures of her arrest, compounded by the era's rigid structures, meant her path was often difficult. Yet she never renounced her role in history. Instead, she carried it with dignity, embodying the principle that change does not require applause. Civil rights leaders who knew her personally recalled her as a quiet force, someone whose actions spoke louder than words ever could. Her passing on January 13, 2026, closes a chapter that the world has only recently begun to fully acknowledge. While her name may not have been as widely celebrated as others at the time, the impact of her courage is unmistakable. Schools, museums, and historical programs now teach of her stand, ensuring that future generations understand that moral courage often begins with small, resolute choices. Claudette Colvin's legacy is measured not in fame or headlines, but in the enduring principles she exemplified. Her life demonstrates that resistance can be quiet, yet profound, that integrity can persist in the face of systemic injustice, and that a single act of courage can ripple outward to reshape a nation. She reminds the world that history is built by those who are willing to act with conscience, even when recognition is uncertain. As tributes pour in from across the nation, from historians, educators, and everyday citizens alike, one sentiment resonates clearly: Claudette Colvin's bravery carved a path for justice and inspired countless others to stand firm in their convictions. She leaves behind a legacy of resilience, moral clarity, and the power of individual action. Today, her life is honored not only for what she did on that Montgomery bus, but for the lessons her courage continues to teach. In remembering Claudette Colvin, the world says farewell to a pioneer of conscience, a young woman whose stand became a cornerstone of civil rights. Though decades have passed since that moment in 1955, her story remains alive, an enduring testament to quiet strength, unwavering principle, and the profound ways one individual can shape the arc of history. Tragic news confirmed: Scott Raymond Adams, the mind behind one of the most recognizable reflections of the modern office, passed away on January 13, 2026. Offices from Seattle to New York quietly remember the humor he brought to cubicles and conference rooms, a reminder that even in routine work, there is insight waiting to be discovered. Adams observed the world of human systems not to mock, but to understand. Born in 1957 in Windham, New York, Adams' early life unfolded in the structured patterns of school and early jobs. He entered the corporate world, experiencing the rhythms, frustrations, and absurdities of office life firsthand. These experiences shaped the perspective that would eventually become Dilbert in 1989. The comic strip resonated because it did not exaggerate, it mirrored reality. Workers saw themselves in its panels, laughing softly at the situations they knew too well, recognizing both humor and truth in equal measure. Dilbert was more than a strip, it became a cultural lens. Adams captured ambition, miscommunication, and the quiet struggles of employees navigating hierarchical systems. Scott gave language to feelings we didn't know we could name, tweeted a longtime fan after the news of his passing. His work transcended comedy, offering a mirror of professional life that was equal parts entertaining and insightful. Beyond cartoons, Adams wrote extensively on persuasion, systems thinking, and human behavior. His nonfiction work expanded the principles embedded in his comics, exploring how people make decisions, navigate organizations, and understand influence. Colleagues recall his sharp intellect paired with a dry wit, describing him as someone who could illuminate complexity with clarity and humor. One editor remarked, "Scott always had a way of seeing patterns others missed, then showing them with a wink." His later years were marked by public commentary and continued reflection on society and technology. He engaged in discussions about workplace dynamics, leadership, and the evolving nature of professional life. Despite occasional controversies, those who knew him recognized a consistent aim: to help others see the systems around them more clearly, often through laughter. Adams' passing leaves a space not just in offices, but in the broader conversation about work, culture, and human behavior. The impact of his work is visible in classrooms, corporate training programs, and countless online discussions. His humor and insight allowed millions to understand their own experiences, offering both comfort and clarity. Social media posts after his death captured the sentiment succinctly: he didn't just make us laugh, he helped us see ourselves. Another noted, Scott Adams turned ordinary office life into a lens for understanding the human condition. Scott Raymond Adams' legacy rests in his ability to translate the subtleties of workplace life into shared understanding. His cartoons and writings remind us that humor is not trivial, it can be a guide, a reflection, and sometimes even a catalyst for change. He taught that observation, when paired with clarity, has the power to connect people across industries, generations, and experiences. In remembering Adams, the world says farewell to a quiet translator of human systems, a creator who used wit to illuminate truth, and a voice that will continue to echo in offices, living rooms, and minds everywhere. His work endures as both art and insight, a testament to the ways humor can reveal, educate, and inspire. Today, laughter and understanding feel a little emptier without him, yet his reflections remain, quietly shaping how people see the world around them. Tragic news confirmed: James Hartung, an Olympic gold medalist and a quiet force in American gymnastics, passed away on January 10, 2026, at the age of 65. Gymnasiums and training halls across the country remember a man whose life was defined by precision, endurance, and the steady rhythm of disciplined motion. Hartung's presence was never loud, but it left an indelible mark on those who witnessed his mastery. Born in 1960 in Omaha, Nebraska, Hartung discovered gymnastics as a young boy drawn to the challenge of control and balance. He embraced the demands of the sport with patience and determination, understanding that excellence was not born in flashes of talent but in repetition, focus, and unyielding practice. At the University of Nebraska-Lincoln, he led 4 national championship teams and earned consecutive NCAA all-around titles. Each achievement reflected not only skill but the careful cultivation of discipline over years of quiet work. The pinnacle of Hartung's career came at the 1984 Summer Olympics, where he captured gold as part of the U.S. gymnastics team. His performance was precise, measured, and composed, a reflection of the countless hours spent refining his craft. Teammates recall his calm presence in the moments before competition. "James had a way of making the toughest routines feel achievable," said one fellow Olympian. His focus was contagious. Hartung's influence extended far beyond his competitive years. He became a coach and mentor, instilling in young gymnasts the values that had guided his own career: consistency, balance, and integrity. His students often describe him as patient but exacting, someone who expected excellence not for fame or recognition, but because it cultivated character and resilience. Social media tributes following his passing highlighted this impact. "He didn't just teach gymnastics, he taught life," wrote one former pupil. Another shared, "Every gymnast who trained with him carries a part of his discipline forward." Even as the years passed, Hartung remained connected to the sport he loved. He attended competitions, offered guidance, and quietly celebrated the achievements of those who followed in his footsteps. Friends and colleagues noted that his presence brought a sense of calm authority. He reminded others that mastery was less about spectacle and more about sustained effort and attention to detail. James Hartung's legacy is built on more than medals and titles. It is found in the countless athletes he inspired, the standards he set, and the enduring idea that discipline and dedication leave a mark that lasts far beyond the spotlight. His life demonstrates that excellence is a steady pursuit, and that the quiet cultivation of skill can shape both personal character and collective belief in what is possible. In remembering Hartung, the world honors not only a gymnast of remarkable skill but a mentor, a guide, and a model of steadfast commitment. His passing leaves a stillness that mirrors the precision of a well-executed routine, a reminder of the calm power in lives built on discipline. Today, as his students and admirers reflect on his influence, they carry forward the lessons of balance, perseverance, and excellence that James Hartung embodied throughout his remarkable life.